Welcome viewers to the Saturday, March 11th edition of 284 News. I am Jacka Wooding, bringing you our top stories from this week. Thank you so much for joining us. The Police Act 2023 has been passed in the House of Assembly, and once assented to, it will set out legal procedures to be used by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force when collecting DNA samples from persons suspected of being involved in arrestable offenses. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley highlighted the new additions which will amend the Police Act Revised Edition 2013.
In the newest edition of the bill, consent must be given in order to take or record an intimate sample. In the event where a person refuses to consent to the taking of his or her intimate sample, a member of the force may take an intimate sample without the consent of such person after obtaining an order providing for an intimate sample to be taken signed by a magistrate or a judge of the High Court. This request must be made in writing by a member of the force, and it should state the offense being investigated and detail the grounds for believing that the person from whom the intimate sample is sought is involved in an arrestable offense. The written request must also state how the officer making the request believes that the intimate sample will prove or disprove the involvement of the person from whom the intimate sample is sought in the arrestable offense being investigated. When order has been granted for the taking of an intimate sample, or where consent is given, the sample may be taken only by a registered medical practitioner or nurse, except in the case of a sample of urine or buccal swab. In the event that a person from whom an intimate sample is taken is acquitted, not charged, or is charged but the prosecution does not proceed with the charge, or the proceedings are discontinued, the intimate sample shall be destroyed in the presence of a gazetted officer or inspector. Under the proposed bill, an intimate sample shall not be taken from a child unless consent has been obtained from the parent or guardian of the child, or an order of the court authorizing the taking of a sample from the child is obtained.
The Premier noted that while the police will now have the authority to collect intimate DNA samples, it must be done in accordance with the law.
They must justify their reasoning and illustrate that it is of sound judgment, that it is fair, and that it is sensible. Part 8 of the bill provides for the discipline of police officers. The powers of police officers are not absolute or above the law itself. The powers granted in the bill are to aid with the enforcing of the law and to enable officers to better prevent criminal activity, which continues to plague our community. If any officer should use these powers for anything but that purpose, they will be committing an offense and will be held accountable for such.
Premier Wheatley said the previous Police Act 2023 was removed from the order paper last week due to many concerns raised by members of the public, but highlighted the importance of having this specific version returned to the House of Assembly.
What we've done instead is we've amended the Principal Act just to allow for the taking of intimate samples, which we have been informed by the police will help us in the prosecution and in the investigations of crimes, including unsolved murders. And it will also assist with rape cases. So we have limited this amendment to that provision.
The Premier said a further modernization of the Police Act will return to the House of Assembly at a future sitting. Premier Natalia Wheatley has also strongly condemned the individual, believed to be a member of his own cabinet, responsible for the unauthorized release of the Auditor General's report into assistance grants programs. Ahead of debating the contents of the audit, Premier Wheatley stood to express his deep disappointment in what unfolded.
And of course, this document is a document that has been much spoken about over the past few weeks, especially since it was leaked And the first thing that I'm going to do, Madam Speaker, before I say anything about the contents of this report, is to condemn in the strongest fashion the unauthorized release of this document into the public. Madam Speaker, the Auditor General made a decision. The Governor concurred. The Premier concurred. This document was redacted for good reason. I'm going to repeat that. The Auditor General who did this report agreed that the names in this document should be redacted. It was sent to myself and the Governor, I believe maybe December 30th, somewhere around there. Document not leaked. No problem with the document all over the street. Madam Speaker, the document finally comes to Cabinet. It took a long time to come. Finally comes to Cabinet. Right after it comes to Cabinet, it's all over the street.
To this end, he has cautioned persons in possession of the unredacted form of the document to cease from sharing it and violating a confidential Cabinet document in the process.
And Madam Speaker, I want to make it very clear. This report that we have just laid on the table is an redacted version. And I want to caution persons out there, if you go and share this unredacted version, even after we've laid this on the table, you are violating the confidentiality of a Cabinet document. It is a serious offense. And you must not do it. And those persons who made the decision to expose the identities of the 4,000 people in this document have decided to go against what the Auditor General recommended in redacting these names, the Governor and myself.
The Premier chastised those responsible for taking matters into their own hands to circulate the document and expose those named within.
Virgin Islands people, you know that saying, you build yourself up from your bootstraps? That's Virgin Islands people. Very proud people, very independent people. And if they come to you and ask you for something, it's because they really needed it. And they don't want their business exposed all over the place. Now, who am I, or who is anybody to go and put those persons' business on the streets? I'm extremely disappointed at the decision that someone made to leak this document to the public and expose those persons.
Wheatley says he has no respect for this behavior and questions whether the move was politically motivated, to which he added that elected members must stop destroying each other for political points and leaving Virgin Islanders with collateral damage. And with that, we take a quick word from our sponsors. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Rashford made it, Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Honorable Marlon Penn has questioned how the Andrew Foy-led VIP administration managed to fund exorbitant assistance grants programs while failing to make the necessary investments in various infrastructural projects due to a lack of government funding. This he asked while debating the contents of the Internal Audit Department's report on government assistance programs from January 2019 to May 2022. More in this report. Minister for Social Development Honorable Marlon Penn rose during debates on the Internal Audit Department's report on the government's assistance grants programs January 2019 to May 2023 to share his concerns surrounding the source of funds used to support the program's expenses, which have been valued at a total of $22,939,333.07. As he posed the question to the House, he opened for Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley to provide some clarity.
And I'm even more concerned now. If these are new monies and not additional money that were used from the Fishing and Farmers grant, $40 million grant that was gotten from social development. Premier, you correct that, Premier, if I'm wrong, if I'm mistaken. Hello, you could, I yield.
Just a point of information, this assistance grant audit is looking at monies which were budgeted through the budgeting process.
Okay.
Allocated to Ministry of Education for assistance grants, Ministry of Communications and Works, House of Assembly, and the Premier's office. I don't think the Ministry of Health was a focus in this audit. But the COVID-19 grant programs, that's a separate audit that was done.
While he accepted that such insight and perspective as provided by the Premier is important, Penn rose again to express heightened concern surrounding the level of spending that took place.
And it makes me even more concerned. So this is additional monies, additional $22 million on top of the $40 million that was spent on the COVID-19 relief grant. That's $62 million of public funds.
In this respect, he also reflected on the large amount of money spent by the Premier's office alone.
The Premier's office alone administered $10.7 million. Million with an M. According to the leader of the opposition. One office alone, 47% of the grants were administered through the Premier's office. 47%. Then you had the Ministry of Communications, Ministry of Education, House of Assembly, with all 13 members. The Premier's office alone administered 47%. One man. And when people say that was a one-man show, everybody jump up and start to make noise.
While he noted that a grant fund in the Premier's office was not new, as it had existed under administrations predating the Andrew Foy-led VIP government elected in 2019, Penn stressed that such levels of spending had not been seen previously.
Madam Speaker, in 2017, the same Premier's office had a grant fund of $42,000. In 2018, and we know that's coming off of hurricanes of 2017, of course you'll need a little more money to be able to assist persons who are transitioning and going through a difficult time. That fund raised to $72,000. 76,000. $76.9 thousand. Madam Speaker, you want to guess how much it raised to in 2019? After you had a change in government, a new administration took office, what that jumped from 2018, $76,000. Anyone take a guess? No guess? No takers? Madam Speaker, from 2018 to 2019, that jumped to $2.4 million. Imagine that.
Further, he questioned how the funds allocated to this assistance grants program could repeatedly multiply as Virgin Islanders are told that the government has no money to address important infrastructural works.
It jumped to $4.8 million, doubled. That's why I was under the assumption that this was COVID money, the grant money. To know that this was budgeted money when we're struggling to find monies to do infrastructural work in this country, struggling to find money to fix the schools, saying that there's no money for the sewage problems of this country and in this community. I remember the member for the 3rd, budget after budget, complaining bitterly about the Board Point plant and the sewage outflow that inundated his constituency. And every standing finance, the discussion was, we don't have no money. We ain't got no money. There's no money in the budget. Right? But you could jump from 76,000 to 2.4 in 2019, and in 2022, 4.8. 100% increase.
He said that the events as they unfolded begged the question of whether the Premier was using the assistance grants monies as a slush fund.
It leads one to make informed opinions or draw the conclusion that this was being used as a slush fund. So the innocent students who needed assistance for their education funds, who needed support to go to school and do other things. There were some legitimate needs for persons who had financial hardship and different concerns. Nothing for the infrastructural work. The roads in East End and Long Look, the worst you've ever seen. I heard the minister talk about 2 roads that he fixed up there, and he did list. Yeah? 2 roads because you had to literally call him everything but a child of God in cabinet the other day to fix the one by Max. To get that fixed, that road that was so bad, where the well was running into the road, literally had to come to blows to get that fixed. In a bridge up Paramtown, that if a bicycle rode to her and it would have fallen, it would have collapsed. Well, one man had a slush fund of 11 point something million, 10 point, I don't want to misrepresent, of $10,717,262.59.
Oxford Dictionary defines a slush fund as a term typically used to describe a reserve of money used for illicit purposes. It is often associated with acts of political bribery. For 284 News, I am Jacka Wooding. And with that, we take a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull has warned property owners that the beaches in the Virgin Islands are public property, and attempts to infringe on the rights of Virgin Islanders or residents to access any of the territory's beaches is in contravention with the law. More in this report. Minister for Natural Resources and Labour, Honorable Turnbull, has issued a stern message to persons in the territory who have been violating public access to beaches. Turnbull rose before the House of Assembly to address what was later described as a worsening issue being monitored by the ministry and other stakeholders.
I'm urged today to remind persons, and especially property owners territory-wide, that all BVI beaches are public. No BVI resident or their guests should be made to feel that they do not have the right to enjoy any BVI beach. The BVI is a prime tourist destination. Of this, we are well aware. Our beaches boast some of the world's whitest sand and cleanest waters, and we welcome travelers from near and far to enjoy them both. However, let us be very clear, Mr. Speaker, just as well that these Virgin Islands are our home.
According to Turnbull, his ministry has been in receipt of written and verbal reports of incidents in which persons are not adhering to law on beach access, whether from not knowing the law or simply choosing not to adhere. One such incident, he said, has unfolded at Little Trunk Bay on the island of Virgin Gorda. Turnbull said that the ministry has been informed of multiple incidents involving the owner of a property there, who is accused of attempting to restrict beach access, harassing beach users, and erecting illegal signage to restrict parking in the area.
Mr. Speaker, not only is this behavior illegal, but it propagates attitudes about ownership, race, and status that we cannot allow. The people of this territory, Mr. Speaker, have rights that we must protect. We welcome investment, development, and integration, but we do not welcome discrimination.
Turnbull reminded that the necessary legislation to guide access to the beach does exist and should be adhered to.
All shores and all beaches, whether natural, man-made, or private islands within the Virgin Islands, are vested in the Crown. There is always free access from any part of the waters to the shores and the beaches, and there should be reasonable access across lands to shores and beaches. Mr. Speaker, the public is hereby reminded of this legislation guiding public access and right-of-way to beaches as per the Virgin Islands Physical Planning Act of 2004, which defined a beach as the area of the coastal zone from the seaward limit of the foreshore running inland to the vegetation line or the natural barrier, whichever is closer to the landward limit or the foreshore, and the beach may consist of sand, stones, gravel, shingle, corals, fragments, or boulders.
He has warned this property owner and others accused of offending this law to cease this behavior.
All property owners and managers who may be engaged in prevented beach users are asked to cease and desist immediately. The public has a right to occupy the water and the shore of every beach, up to the area of land that is owned privately. Any person seeking further clarification of this law or seeking support to enforce the law as a beach user may contact the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labour Seabed Unit for assistance.
Turnbull's statement that day was lauded by Representative for the 9th District, Honorable Vincent Wheatley, who noted that this issue has been in need of dire attention.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to commend the Minister for bringing this vexing issue to the forefront. It's a pattern I saw developing. I spoke about it in this very house some time back. This person's trying to restrict access to public beaches, that the Minister rightfully said, needs to cease and desist immediately. All beaches are public. We live in harmony. Tourism is our business, in some places more than others. But I must commend the Minister for bringing and shedding more light on this vexing issue that's been developing and going from a bad place to a worse place over the past couple of months. I look forward to even more light and more action taken on some of these persons who want to privatize some of our beaches. All beaches are public, Mr. Speaker.
For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
The British Virgin Islands women's softball national team finished 4th in the Eastern Caribbean Amateur Softball Championship, a tournament which was won by the unbeaten Curaçao team. Kamal Haynes has more.
While playing at the Virgin Islands National Park in St. John on Sunday, The BVI team fell short to Aruba to lose 9-8. But the BVI team had an impressive comeback at the top of the 7th inning after being down 8-5 to finish their inning tied at 8-8. With all to play for at the bottom of the 7th inning, Aruba managed one run to slip away with the victory and to take the bronze. One notable performances came from pitcher Jalissa Shelley Potter, who despite injuring her hamstring in the previous game, positioned the BVI well to remain in the game. Daria D. Malone, who struck her second home run of the tournament in the 4th inning. Bria Smith, whose strategic batting and good fielding at the first base kept the BVI with a fighting chance, and Kenisha Stout, who had 2 runs batted in. The coach or manager of the BVI women's national team, Honorable Neville Smith, spoke on the 4th place finish.
Well, I think the team played well based on the time we had to practice and train, because we never did have a full squad to practice at no time. So based on the training that they got and the time that we had, I think we did very good.
And today, another loss against Aruba, second loss against Aruba in the tournament. Speak on that.
Well, we lost this game, but to me this is the best we played. Even though we lost the game, it was the best we played. We just made some executions that we were supposed to put on in place. But the team played very well. We came back, we fight back. Just at the end, the bottom of the 7th, we lost by a little mistake that we made. So, but overall, today the team played well.
Well, Smith also spoke on the team's overall performance in the tournament.
Our team, to me, everybody really performed. I must say everybody played at the expectation. Standout players, you will see like Daria, she had about 2 home runs. The pitching was doing well, but we failed in the end. The players played well. The infield played very good. The outfield played good. Like I said, overall, I think we played well. It's just that we need to put in the work to get better results. And like I told the team this morning, I'm committed. And from the time we reach back, I'm going to start practicing at least 3 times out of the month, even though the league is going on.
Okay. Yeah. And also to speak about some of the performances that you would have seen from some of the other teams, were there any surprises that you would have noticed from the opposition teams?
Not really. I mean, Crusoe, for sure, we know they always playing ball. St. Thomas, then I expected better out of St. Thomas and more out of St. Thomas because I expect they got a lot of college players. But again, you have to talk about the gelling. Some of them maybe haven't played together before either. So it all comes down to practicing together, playing together. The more time you play to each other, the better you get.
Well, Coach Smith also addressed the future plans in store for the team.
See, there's where I keep talking about budgets, right? The more you can perform or go on tournaments, the better you become. Because competition will make you better. So we have to find a way that we could at least get 3-4 tournaments, 5 tournaments a year. So it means that the Softball Association have to find ways of invitational, bringing in teams or something, but we must play international to get better. The more competition you have, the better you become.
So right now, there's nothing on the cards for the rest of the year for the national team?
The league is opening, I think, in this month, but I think there's a tournament sometime in either this month, next month in St. Martin that we got an invitation to, so we're looking forward to going to that as well.
Well, meanwhile, Curacao defeated host USVI in a final, which was also played on Sunday in a narrow 3-2 win. Well, the win for Curacao means that they will now advance to the Central American and Caribbean Games in El Salvador, which will run from June 23rd, 2023 until July 8th, 2023. Reporting for 284 News, I am Kamal Haynes.
And that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. Like us on Facebook at 284media, 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Jacko Whitting, and I'll see you again next week. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.